In chapter 34, the book of Deuteronomy, we read, Vayamot Sham Moshe, Eved Adonai, Be'eretz Moav, Al Pi Adonai. So Moses, the servant of Adonai, died there, in the land of Moab, at the command of God. God buried Moses in the valley in the land of Moab near Beit Peor, and no one knows his burial place to this day. Moses was 120 years old. His eyes were undimmed and his vigor unabated. And the Israelites cried and mourned for Moses in the steppes of Moab for 30 days, at which time the period of mourning and wailing came to an end. These few verses teach us so much about who and what we are to be as Jews. We learn that Moses lived to 120, and so it is to this day that we say to someone celebrating their birthday, Ad mea ve'esrim, may you live to be 120 years old, just like Moses. We learn that Moses was strong of body and mind, reminding us that age is but a number, and that we can live full, active, and meaningful lives well into our 80s, 90s, and beyond. When the Israelites mourned for a specified period of time, this forever shaped Jewish law, forming the Jewish custom of shloshim, mourning for 30 days. It's a custom that we still observe today. These four verses teach us much, but the concluding words of these verses may strike us particularly strange as we come together on Yom Kippur afternoon at this Yizkor service. After 30 days, we read, the period of mourning and wailing came to an end. Came to an end? Does our period of mourning ever really come to an end? While the period of 30 days may have passed in our Torah, and that same period may have passed many times in our own lives, I would argue, no. I would argue our mourning does not end even after all the people have left our homes as we observe Shiva, even after we have taken off the Kriya ribbon, the outward symbol that our hearts have been torn, even after we get back to our daily lives of going to work and taking our children to activities. Just look around. Some of us are here today because we are mourning a loved one who has passed away within the last 30 days. Others, 30 weeks. Others, 30 months. And yes, some of us are here to remember those we last saw in the flesh 30 or more years ago. Our mourning never ends because those we are remembering this afternoon had such a profound impact on our lives. They were there when we took our first steps and said our first words. They were there when we put on a backpack that was probably too big and headed out for our first day of school. They were the steady hand that balanced us when we learned to ride a bike and the outstretched arm to help us off the blacktop when we fell down. They came to our baseball games and school plays and told us we were great, even if we struck out 5 times or botched a couple of lines. They were on the bima as we became bar or bat mitzvah, thanking God they could reach this day, and if only their parents could have lived to see this moment, how proud they would be. They taught us to drive in the school parking lot as the winter snow fell, because you have to learn to drive in the snow, and there was no chance of getting in an accident in an empty parking lot. They gave us advice, even if we didn't take it, when we first fell in love. They were a shoulder to cry on when that first love didn't quite work out the way we planned, and they let us know that there are plenty of fish in the sea, and that we are special, and that the perfect someone was out there waiting for us. And they were there to see us walk down the aisle, a tear in their eye, because in one way they were closing a chapter in their lives, and at the same time had the greatest of excitement that we were beginning a new one in ours. They were the first people we called when our first and second and third child was born, and if not, their name is carried on by those same children today who may have children of their own. They were the only ones who really got us as a kid because they grew up in the same house with the same parents and had the same rules. They were the only ones who stayed up with us late at night when our moms and dads thought we were asleep, talking about sports or movies or the handsome boys and beautiful girls in school. They gave us advice on how to ask someone out, what clothes to wear, and the hairstyle we should have. They played catch with us in the backyard as we pretended to be two players on our favorite team with just seconds left in the Super Bowl or the bottom of the ninth in the World Series. They were the ones with whom we have had some of our toughest battles, but we knew would go to battle for us should the case ever arise. They were the ones who, as kids, we really didn't want to stand or sit next to in family pictures, but today we would give so much to have just one more picture, one more moment with them. Others of those we have come to remember today came into our lives later, but had as meaningful an impact as those who saw us take our first breath and steps. They were the ones we saw from across a crowded room at a school dance or youth group event. They were the one that our friends set us up with, even though we originally said, no, I don't really want to go on a blind date, but we couldn't have been happier that we did. They were the people we knew were the one at first glance, more handsome, more beautiful than anyone we had ever seen before. They were the funniest person we ever met, the one who knew exactly what to say and when to say it, even when we really didn't want to hear it. They were the hand that held us tight when we were afraid, the person we saw first in the morning and last at night, and knew for certain that the day was going to be good and that we were going to be safe. They were the ones who gave us the greatest gifts we have, our children, and who we wish could have lived just a little bit longer to see their grandchildren achieve all that they have. The mourning for such people can never truly end. That is why we have all come here this afternoon, to honor and show the love we have for those who have left this earth 30 days, 30 weeks, 30 months, or 30 years ago, but have remained in our hearts every moment of every day. The ones from whom we still yearn to get one more hug, see one more smile, hear one more laugh, and feel one more kiss. One more conversation, one more word of wisdom, one more chance to say how much we love them. We yearn for these hugs, kisses, smiles, conversations, and moments because as much as we have come to say this afternoon, I remember you, I love you, and I miss you, there are also times when even after 30 years, our mourning is so strong that we say, I am not sure how I can go on without you. It is times like this that I think, what words of wisdom would our loved ones share with us if they were standing right here? I see my grandfather, who I remember as a towering figure, filled only with love and the best hugs ever. I see my grandmothers, who would have been telling everyone here today, that's my grandson on the bima, the Rabbi, even though everyone here already knows that. And as I see them, my thoughts turn to the words of Robin Williams in the movie Jack, and I'm pretty sure all of our loved ones would say something like this. At a time like this, we find ourselves thinking about the future. So you start to worry, thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to be in 10 years? But I say to you, hey, look at me. Please don't worry. Please don't worry so much because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky when the stars are strung across the velvety night. When a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day, make a wish. Think of me. Make your life spectacular. I know I did. As we remember those who have so deeply touched our lives, and while our mourning for them may never end, let us never forget that our remembrance and mourning should propel us to make our lives spectacular. Let us honor our loved ones in this year, 5777, by doing something we've always wanted to do, but always said, there's just not enough time, or I'll get to it later. And tonight, or any night during the year, let us look into the sky and know those who have touched our lives are still there with us. For just as our mourning never ends, those we are mourning for never truly leave us. As they say in Hebrew, and as we say hopefully to all of our loved ones who have come before us, lehitraot, not goodbye, but see you soon.